Hello and welcome to Valuechain News. I am Naomi Oleribe. First, the headlines. Aito denies fresh leak in its facilities. It's impossible for Nigeria to consume up to 70 million liters of fuel a day. Saraki. Gencos decry 1.6 trillion naira unpaid debt by NBET. And now, the news in detail. Aito Eastern Exploration and Production Company yesterday denied reports that a new leak had been discovered at its Nembe Creek trunkline pipeline within its OML 29 facilities, describing the imputations as factually incorrect. A statement issued by Aito stressed that there was no iota of truth in any aspect of the story, which it said had been emboldened by some of the most irresponsible journalism on the internet. The indigenous oil firm maintained that since the last incident on his Santa Barbara well, at least there had been 2 attacks on his assets, leading to a shutdown of the affected lines. Aito has become aware of news now in circulation of the alleged occurrence of a fresh leak from the NCTL pipeline within our OML 29 facilities. We confirm unequivocally that there is no iota of truth in any of the aspects of the story. The indiscriminate circulation of which has been emboldened by some of the most irresponsible journalism on the internet media. This is especially so because no attempt has been made to verify the incident with us, the firm stated. Former Senate President Bukola Saraki has challenged the federal government's plan to subsidize petrol on 70 million liters daily consumption, pointing out that Nigeria's fuel consumption cannot be more than 35 million liters a day, while hinting that Nigeria could be subsidizing fuel for neighboring West African states. In an interview with Channels Television, Saraki stated that he has seen the fuel queue situation in Nigeria and acknowledged the frustration of Nigerians dealing with the fuel scarcity. Recall that President Muhammadu Buhari has transmitted the 2022 Appropriation Act Amendment Bill to the National Assembly last month, where the federal government earmarked the sum of 2.557 trillion naira for fuel subsidy following the suspension of the implementation of the policy by the federal government. Operators of generation companies, Gencos, have said the electricity market owes them 1.644 trillion naira as capacity charges for their power plants since 2015. They also blamed the recent drop in power generation on faulty national grid management. Speaking on Sunday, the Executive Secretary of the Association of Power Generation Companies, APGC, Dr. Joy Ogaji, said before the Nigerian Bulk Electricity Trading (NBET) took over payment services of generated and distributed electricity in 2015, the market operator had paid Gencos for their capacity and generated energy since 2013 when the sector was privatized, based on the privatization agreement till 2014 before NBET took over. Ogaji also noted that the energy charge EC, which is on average 4,000 megawatts daily, is not paid in full to the Gencos, causing revenue shortfall for them to meet their gas obligations and other expenses. The breakdown indicates that for every year, about half of the available of the Gencos is not paid for, as a national grid could not take the energy to consumer. The Minister of Power, Engineer Abubakar Aliyu, recently blamed the low power on technical issues and water levels. ENI and BP have completed a deal to merge their oil and gas operations in Angola, the group said on Friday, confirming what sources earlier exclusively told Reuters. The deal will create a company called Azul Energy that is expected to be Angola's largest producer, with stakes in 16 licenses and in the Angola LNG joint venture. Azul Energy will also take over ENI's stake in Sole Nova, a solar company jointly held with Angola's Sun Angol. Earlier, three sources said the two energy groups were close to raising around $2.5 billion in financing to help fund the joint venture, and were also close to a separate agreement for ENI to buy stakes in Algerian gas plants. Two companies last year announced plans to combine their Angolan businesses into a self-funded company with oil and gas production of around 200,000 barrels of oil equivalent per day. The merger is part of the two companies' overhaul of their oil and gas businesses as they shift towards renewables and low-carbon energy in the coming decades. It will also help them to reduce debt. France has concluded plans to introduce a rebate of 0.15 euros per litre of transport fuel to help drivers cope with soaring pump prices. Prime Minister Jean Castex said in an interview that the measure will be effective for 4 months from 1st April and is expected to cost the government over 2 billion euros. The Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Mr. Adeniyi Adebayo, has said total cumulative investments in the country's free economic zones have hit $20 billion in over its 30 years of operations. Speaking at the inauguration of the new NEPSA Lagos office over the weekend, the minister said the general's fiscal incentives associated with the free zone scheme remained a veritable source of economic development. Adebayo pointed out that the free zone scheme generated 250 billion naira in both foreign and local direct investments in 2021 and 35 billion naira in custom duty payments, as well as 65 billion naira in local import and backward linkage. He added that the scheme generated 500 million naira in pay as you earn, 25,000 in new employment, and 5,000 transfer of skills. Before we end the news, here's a recap of our headlines. Aito denies fresh leak in its facilities. It's impossible for Nigeria to consume up to 70 million liters of fuel a day. Saraki. Gencos decry 1.6 trillion naira unpaid debts by NBET. And that's the news. I am Naomi Oleribe. Good evening.